Hey, real quick before we start the podcast, if you have listened to more than one episode, can you do me a favor and rate and review the show? Now, I'm not big on asking for favors, but we really want to get this podcast listed in the top of all health and fitness podcasts, not just the fitness category. This will take you less than a minute, and if you could do that, that would make us friends forever. And since we refuse all sponsors on the show, this will be my only ask rather than telling you to go check out some supplement or product we don't actually believe in, like every other podcast out there. So please rate and review. Okay, that's it. To the podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jerred Moon here with Joe Courtney, Ashley Hicks. How are you both doing?
Pretty good, man.
Good.
It's been a while.
Yeah, holidays, always interesting times. Can't get us all every time. I know everyone's bummed about that, but you got us all, most of us, the important ones at least, today. I'm just kidding, Trampus. You're awesome. Can't wait till you're back on the podcast.
It's going to take him 4 weeks to hear this episode anyway, so it's fine.
It's true.
Yeah, he told us he's pretty far behind. So whenever you hear that and you're pissed off at me in February, it's sorry. All right, well, we are getting to the show. We have a study on BCAAs today. So we're going to be covering that. I was really interested to dive into this one when we were kind of planning out what we wanted to do this month. And the reason being is because I don't know a ton about BCAA supplementation, to be honest. I mean, I know what BCAAs are. I know the importance of essential amino acids and amino acids in general, but all the initial things I'd ever read, like scientific literature, were kind of like not great for BCAAs. And now we have a systematic review, where they review studies, a bunch of studies, and then they pull like inclusion criteria. So we're going to be talking about BCAAs a little bit, see if it's something you want to spend your money on. And then we're going to be talking about Liver King today. We don't normally get into the fitness current events, if you will, but this one's pretty popular. I've seen it pop up just about everywhere. And, we're going to discuss it. So we'll get into Liver King and all his glory. But let's start with a study. So the study, it was done in 2022. The name is Oral Branched Chain Amino Acids Supplementation in Athletes, a systematic review. And I think it's really important to hit on the fact that it's in athletes was another reason I was pretty excited to cover this study. Now, why? I think we should take a step back on just BCAAs in general for a second. So BCAAs are essential amino acids that must be supplied by the diet, meaning we cannot produce them in any significant quantity. Most important one, and we've covered quite a bit, is leucine. And it's an essential amino acid, and it has the largest effect on initiating muscle protein synthesis. We've also talked about this before, and it's roughly around that 2-gram mark for leucine per serving. So if you are looking like, hey, I want to initiate as much muscle protein synthesis as possible, and you are supplementing with protein, you're going to want to make sure that you are getting that 2 grams of leucine. Fairly easy to do with whey protein. It'd actually be hard to find whey protein that doesn't have 2 grams of leucine, to be honest. But it gets harder if you, like for me, because I don't consume whey, just because I've had problems with dairy. So finding other sources that still have a good amino acid protein profile with those 2 grams, that has been challenging. Pea protein is normally the go-to. Now they're starting to do blends. A lot of companies have kind of landed on this like sunflower seed protein mixed with pea protein mixed with watermelon seed protein. And it ends up providing a pretty good amino acid profile. Other than that, the other non-dairy, what was it called? What was that one we took for a long time, Joe? The meat one.
Beef isolate, yeah.
Yeah, so beef protein isolates.
Equip?
Yeah, the Equip one. Those are normally actually not that great. You have to take a much larger quantities to hit that leucine content. And that was actually a big reason I ended up moving away from that type of protein. So anyway, there are other essential amino acids that are required for continuing the muscle protein synthesis response. BCAAs are the only essential amino acids which can be oxidized in the muscle rather than solely by the liver. And this is why they have been looked at so much going back decades, really, like far back, because of the where they can be oxidized. They can be oxidized in the muscle as opposed to just in the liver. So their scientists, companies, they've always been intrigued by this idea that BCAAs should really be in your diet. And while I don't argue with that at all, you need BCAAs, like you have to ingest them. But is supplementation with BCAAs important? So there's no argument about the importance of leucine or BCAAs. And I just want to be real clear as we dive further into the conversation about the study, we are talking about branch chain amino acid supplementation and not branch chain amino acids. That'd be like the difference between, is it okay to breathe oxygen, or should I buy that canister of oxygen at the Denver airport when I arrive to where I can breathe better? That's the BS that you want to stay away from. But oxygen, we're saying that's good to go. BCAAs are good to go. Supplementation, we don't know. We'll let you know. So the authors included 24 studies on athletes in this systematic review. They had a lot of outcome measures, so body composition, strength, recovery from muscle damage, anabolic signaling, and changes in anabolic, catabolic, and metabolic hormones. They did state that it had to be on athletes or people who were regularly training, which I think is still great for the garage gym athlete population, and had to include oral supplementation with BCAAs in isolations. So nothing that had like a supplement with BCAAs also in it. Had to be like straight BCAA supplementation and had to be oral. And I like those two things because I don't know how else you take BCAAs. I was actually, they're like, it's oral supplementation, but I'm like, are people injecting it? Is there another source that doesn't go through your mouth in which we're getting BCAAs? That's an open question. If you guys can think of anything, let me know.
Well, I thought they put that in there that it could have been intravenously, and they excluded those because there were studies with people who had BCAAs intravenously.
Yeah, I guess the bigger question is like, who's doing that? You know what I mean? Like,
see, I would see like a lab doing studies like this potentially. I don't think like regular Joe Schmo off the street. Sorry, Joe, but
I said regular Joe.
Besmirching.
Can do that. I don't think, question mark.
Well, yeah, I mean, bodybuilders do all sorts of crazy stuff. We'll get into that when we talk about Liver King. But
there could be suppositories. Who knows?
Yeah, it could go. I mean, there are a lot of different ways.
It could go both ways.
A lot of different ways in, if you know what I mean. So they're anyway, they were assessing performance of body composition markers of recovery, biomechanical or hormonal response, or molecular signaling. It needed to include a control or placebo group. And just so how these systematic reviews go, they have their inclusion criteria, which is kind of the list I just gave you. And then they go look at all the databases out there, all the major ones. They did Web of Science, PubMed. They had all this inclusion criteria. They looked at 2,298 records that included like the overall what they were looking for, which is a lot of BCAA supplementation studies. Then 24 studies met the inclusion criteria. That's how much it gets whittled down. So pretty crazy. That's kind of the brief of what we're talking about. I'd love to hear what you guys think about the study, and then we can just talk maybe in general about BCAAs. Ashley, what do you think of this one?
So speaking of like being influenced by someone just because they tell you need something, we just slacked this to you guys, but I legit drank BCAAs because my CrossFit coach was like, that's what you need. I'm like, okay. So I just randomly started drinking this thing without even like knowing what it really was or what it really does. And I think from the study, it proves here that you do exactly what Jerred said. You do need BCAAs, I think, for your training, but come to find out, it sounds like protein is where you can get basically everything that you need. You don't need to take an extra supplement. So to me, my challenge to the garage gym athlete is if you can eat high, good quality protein diet, as well as, also take a good quality protein supplement, what's the point in wasting time and money with a supplement that didn't necessarily pull away with like these crazy strength benefits? They did say, obviously, for recovery, BCAAs are great, but there was no difference between BCAAs being ingested faster or digested, faster than someone who is eating protein that is slower digested. They didn't see a huge difference for that. So my takeaway of this is, well, get your protein, you don't need to buy BCAAs. So
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy. So when we talk about that 2 grams of leucine that you need, um, it's always we're always talking about supplementation, but if you were just like, okay, well, how do I get that? If I'm eating, it's like, okay, well, like 4 to 6 ounces of steak, maybe like 3 eggs. It's not like these gigantic protein meals that you have to have.
right.
And egg protein specifically, not powder, eggs, cracking them, scrambling them, or however you like your eggs.
Whole eggs, not
Giant
egg whites.
omelet, yeah, whole eggs, are like the it's like the most bioavailable protein. Like your body, that and like whey just uses almost all of it, and there's not very little waste, and that can't be said for the vegan plant-based proteins.
Yeah. So I liked parts of the study because it didn't just take resistance training, it did endurance training and a plethora of different types of athletes. I don't know if you guys looked at each individual study of what they selected from and the range of them, but some of them were very short, like especially the resistance training ones were only like a single session. You guys notice that?
Yeah.
So that one, I feel like they could have done well. Other studies in the future could do better in doing them longer, because if you're doing anything with muscle growth and strength, and that takes a pretty good amount of time. There's maybe if you just want to look at soreness and recovery, which a couple of them did, then that's one thing. A couple of the endurance ones they did leading up to a competition, which for like 30 days and then 1 week after, which was cool. So I like the mixture of resistance training and endurance athletes, and that they all had to be actual athletes, so trained people doing this in this study, which I liked a lot of. We don't necessarily, it's no secret that we're not advocates for taking much supplementation, but we still like to keep up with some of the studies in the science and stuff. But this one just kind of reinforces what we've already been kind of doing, and there's nothing really new to take away from it. But I thought of a couple of ways that I guess BCAAs that fill in the blanks that the study kind of looked over. So the protein, as you guys already said, is the most important thing. Getting enough high enough protein, leucine, you can just do that on your own. But for BCAAs, where they might come into play is if for some reason you can't get enough protein, whether you're maybe a caloric restriction, your kind of thing you're going for, whether it's lower in you're working on body composition, something specific that you're working on, and you have to really watch every single gram or calorie that you're eating. Probably vegans, maybe. I'm not really sure the source of where BCAAs would be coming from for vegans, but that's another thing. I'm not even sure where their leucine would come from. So BCAAs, I don't know if Jerred, because you've had your experiment.
Well,
with
yeah, because when what is it, 2018, when I was experimenting with keto, and I experimented with vegan in that same year, and it was more just to like try these diets out. It was like an empathy type thing, like an understanding of our athletes, because there were some that were like diehard keto, and then we also had vegans in the community, and I wanted to not just say, hey, we'll try harder to get your protein. I want to understand what it was like to try and get the amount of protein, or what it felt like to do our training on keto. And I had to look into this. It's very hard when you buy amino acids, because I took it during the keto phase, and I think a little bit during the vegan phase. Not very frequently, because I was trying to find out if they were milk based, right? Because going back to me always talking about my dairy problems, right? It's that I was just trying to find out if they were milk based, and it's very hard to find out the source. Some of them would tell you, and then I found out other sources where it was like hog's hair, and I was like, this is some crazy shit that people are pulling like amino acids coming from hog's hair. So the source is actually very hard to find. I think it's because they don't want to tell you most of the time. It's like, how did we pull this one thing out of something?
Yikes.
That's like it's already like a scary idea for me in general. So, and some of it could just be purely synthetic, like creatine. They don't go like cut up a bunch of chicken breast and then like extract the creatine from it. They just have synthesized that, and they make creatine. I'm assuming some of the amino acids are the same way. But yeah, it kind of gets scary and sketchy on sourcing this stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah. So supplements in general, it's because they're not necessarily regulated as much. And there's actually a recent study, and I shared it with you guys, that like the top 20 Amazon immunity supplements on Amazon, like most of them were completely bogus, or they couldn't find sources of anything, or the measured amounts were completely off. So that's just supplements in general. That's why you should avoid them. But having said all that, I'd say only about 5% or less of athletes in general could benefit from BCAAs because you're probably either really active, maybe you're working out multiple times a day, getting ready for something specific competition wise. I mentioned the caloric deficit type of like you really need to, down to the gram figure and the calorie restriction of your diet, or maybe like because of stomach volume. If you can't handle that much because of if you have to eat so much, maybe you need to make it up some way that you can. But like that's like a lot of parameters to if you should take BCAAs, and then you have to find the right quality of it. So by and large, most people don't even bother with BCAAs. Don't waste your money. Just focus on protein and leucine. And like even if your diet isn't in check, you shouldn't even be considering supplements in general, no matter what the supplement is.
Yeah, and I appreciate your somewhat objective stance on like, oh well, maybe we have a reason. Like, there's not. It's not there. Like I can't see a reason why anyone should take BCAAs. I mean, you're right. According to the literature, it can be beneficial in really small circumstances, but I don't want anybody to listen to this and have a takeaway of like, well, sometimes, and here the straight from the abstract. I don't always just read the abstract conclusion, but I thought it was pretty good in this case, directly from the study. They say, although BCAAs tended to activate anabolic signals, the benefits on performance and body composition were negligible. Studies that included resistance participants showed that BCAAs attenuated muscle soreness after exercise, while in endurance sports, the findings were inconsistent. So endurance sports, we don't really know. You might be a little less sore on the strength side, which again, we've talked about soreness recently on the podcast. Who cares? You're sore. Just deal with it. And then the protocols of BCAA supplementations differed considerably between studies. And then the last point they had, which I think is very important to note, says, moreover, most of the studies did not report the total protein intake across the day, and consequently, the benefits of BCAAs should be interpreted with caution. And I think that that's huge that they didn't account for that, because if, Joe and I were in the same study doing the same training, and we were both taking BCAAs according to the protocol, but Joe was eating steak and like really great sources of BCAAs. Like, how, I don't even know how you didn't think about that, like in the scientific like study. And I'm only eating like kale and whatever else a vegan likes to eat. No offense to vegans. I'm not 100% sure what I tried it. It was hard. I only last 3 days. So anyway, it's ludicrous. Like, it's crazy. So you can't even, some of these studies would even have to be thrown out, because if you are eating enough protein, none of this stuff matters. And that's what we always come back to. And I know it's not as sexy as, well, this is why the topic is today. Like, why that jacked guy you're following Instagram has that supplement that sounds awesome. It's got BCAAs in it. It has nothing to do with that person taking it. It has everything to do with maybe them just, in some cases, being all natural and having a great diet. In other cases, them just straight up being a liar. Either way, if you want to waste your money, go invest in BCAAs. That's like I could give you all sorts of ways to waste money, and most of them will be supplementation for health or performance. And we always talk about the ones that we're okay with. And it's not even like these should be on your stack of what you're taking. It's just, they're fairly safe. And that's like creatine, caffeine. I think the all like beetroot juice, those kind of things are becoming more proven, but still they're very like specific use cases that you'd want that probably like an endurance thing that you're going for. Protein is okay, but again, source scares me a lot on protein. And anyone can have a protein supplement. We'll talk about that in a minute. But overall, my takeaway is don't waste your money on BCAAs. I don't care what influencer has influenced you to purchase said BCAAs, whether it's CrossFit coach or a model on Instagram. It doesn't really matter. The science doesn't back up that it's an effective use of your money. So I don't have much else on that one.
I just pulled up real quick some sources of leucine for vegans. It's not a great list. Per 100 gram. Yeah, there are some pea proteins, and a lot of them are. So it would have a mix of stuff on here, like
tofu.
it'll have like pumpkin seed, like different seeds, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds. A lot of the vegan proteins now have a mix of those, which is kind of cool to see. But the top two are Vital Wheat Gluten and dried seaweed per 100 grams. I don't know how much dried
Have you
seaweed
ever
weighs
seen
like
seaweed?
nothing. Yeah,
Like,
dried seaweed 100 grams. That's got to be a huge stack.
yeah, Emily's purchased those like seaweed sheets before
Yeah.
for like I think it was for iodine or something was like the reasoning behind it, but they weigh like nothing, and so 100 grams of that would be, and they're disgusting. So I mean, they're really bad.
Sometimes they're seasoned well. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
maybe you put enough
I
salt
like
on
some
it.
seaweeds, but yeah.
Some of them are really bad, and I got my 2 grams. I had to eat a pound of this stuff.
Yeah. Cost
Or
like $50.
whatever. It'd be like this high stacked on a desk. But
Yeah.
I do think vegan wise, like, so I did do the vegan thing for a couple days, and the protein was very hard to do without, like,
Checking
some
on carbs,
vegans say
right?
it's easy without going to just boxed weird crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what Emily and I did it together. And that's where we ended up because we planned out all of our macros and like, here's how we're going to hit it. And then after we planned the macros, planned what we needed to do, we made the grocery list and then, went to the grocery store and bought these things. And it was very like, okay, here's my fake burger. I have to eat 2 of these a day. And here's like all these random things that helped us meet the macros we wanted. But we were eating so processed. I couldn't take it. And that's why the vegan argument typically comes back to how much protein do you need anyway? And I kind of agree. Like, I don't think that you should be like way over on like too much protein spectrum, but I don't think that 50 grams a day is okay for any human being. So yeah, you have to figure out what you're going to do there. It's tough, but still don't take BCAAs. Just go get a pea protein supplement or eat a bunch of peas.
But what about organ meats and
Vegans
livers?
can't eat organ meats and livers.
I'm segueing.
Oh, thought we were still on the vegan topic.
Well,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, let's get into it. So, most everyone knows the Liver King, right? I don't think there's anybody who could.
If you see him, you know him probably.
Yeah, you would
If you've
know.
been on social media.
And so there was a YouTube video put out by, I'm sure he's pretty popular, but I also just found out about him. More Plates, More Dates. I'm gonna give credit where credit is due because he's the one who put out this YouTube video. And if you're listening to this, you probably also know who that is because he has got like 1.54 million YouTube subscribers. So
I was today years old when I heard of him, but that's an awesome.
Exactly. Like, I just found out about him too, but like, hey, maybe some of our audience go check out his stuff. I'm sure it's all good. We've only watched one video. But he talks a lot about the Liver King and these emails that he found. And the reason I want to watch that video is because I wanted context. And the fact that we're talking about supplementation. If you don't know about the Liver King, here's the short of it. He's this really jacked 5'7" dude who claims to live by these 9 ancestral tenets. And I don't even know what they all are, but I know it's like, they're not bad. The tenets are not bad. Like most of the stuff that he's putting out there, like it was fine. The only problem came with is like, everyone was like, dude, there's no way you're eating bull testicles and like you look like that. Like it's not a 1-for-1 trade. Everyone who knew anything about the industry, and I think anybody who's been in the fitness industry a long time, you could like send me the Liver King profile and I could have been like, yes, steroids. And it's not like a hard line to draw. But what was unfortunate for him, because I think Mark Bell has proven this. And I was on Mark Bell's podcast, and I'm sure most people are familiar with him, but he's been open about his steroid usage forever. Like you go back to that first documentary, Bigger, Stronger, Faster, I believe it was called. And it shows him using steroids. They talk about it in that documentary. He's been open about using in the past. I don't think that he is anymore, or I'm not actually 100% sure. But normally when you're honest, it's okay. Right? It's honest. I mean, it's like, it's okay if I'm like, yes, I do bad things, but it only affects me. Like, why do you care? But this video on YouTube by More Plates, More Dates guy just had this like string for like 20 minutes of the opening of this hour-long video that's just like the Liver King denying that he is on any sort of like anabolic steroids or anything like that. So I just thought I'd open a discussion about, I mean, we could talk specifically about Liver King, but I think also just where we're at. This is part of the reason I hate a lot of the fitness industry, right? Like these kind of things. What do you guys think? First off, how familiar were you with Liver King before we decided to talk about him on the podcast?
We've talked about him in our I'm pretty sure in our meetings he got brought up. I think one of the things for me was because he one of his claims was you don't have to brush your teeth if you eat liver because
It's a good one.
yeah, like liver for some reason your like helps your enamel, which again, I think if you look at some of the things that he was saying, they were like partly true, right? I don't know. And then so I'm pretty sure that's where he came up. I could be wrong, but or one of us found him on Instagram. So we've definitely talked about him
Yeah,
before.
I was sent a video, one of the funniest videos I've ever seen. I think it was Barstool Sports. I think I sent it to you guys, right? Slack,
Yeah.
where they interviewed him. I mean, for sure, is the funniest video I've seen all year. That's for sure. That was hilarious. I'll have to find that, track it down for you guys. But that was great. I don't know if you guys watched it or whatever, but yeah,
Yeah.
great stuff.
I don't know. I never was impressed with him from the get-go. I was like, put a shirt on, which is what a lot of people said about him. Like, come on, dude. Like, don't even care. And I agree with you. Like, if you look at his core, like the 9 things that he was trying to push, like there's a lot of things that I feel like we actually need. Like, people need to actually get outside and stop being indoors. And, you can do the grounding thing if you want and take your shoes off. But I mean, like, just get outside and walk and play with your kids and do all that kind of thing, or doing the hard things when you don't want to. I mean, how many times have we said this? And then I agree that liver is actually really good for you. Like, so I think the sad part about it is, like you said, like he just wanted to profit from this crazy Instagram social media life with, some supplements that he was, well, not supplements, but just some of the things that he was promoting. And I feel like there are so many people out there doing the exact same thing and that are lying to a whole bunch of people just to make money. And if you go back and look at those emails, it's pretty incredible. Like he basically wanted to make sure that he like fit this whole mold. So then that way he could be this crazy influencer that was, getting all this monetary value from it. So I don't know. I think it's sad. And I think it should caution, everyone, like maybe the people that you're following on Instagram are not the end all be all and don't know everything. So
Yeah, I think this isn't exactly an isolated incident. This is just one that got like legitimately caught and got like actual evidence of being called out on the BS. But this is kind of how influencers operate. If they've had success somewhere doing something, they have the bodies and the performance, but then they say, "Well, I need to make money off of who I am, so I'm just gonna pump this out and say that this is how I got to where I am." And then people will eat it up and buy it because they want to, you're selling a dream essentially, but like it's just most of it's BS. And even like with him, there's some of them that will start with like a core of, okay, these are some pretty cool, some pretty good principles that you should do, but let me just take one or two extremes and like go die on that hill and pump it up and just like use my own advantages of what I have and sell the crap out of it. But a lot of the good stuff, like the nine tenets, are getting lost. I think there's probably going to be soon, with if his possible downfall, of a market open to somebody to take the actual good part of what he did and like do good with it. Somebody might actually be like that, but they're probably not blown up millions of followers because they don't have a steroid body. That's just kind of how it works. If you're just about, truth and like not the overall sexiness and whatnot, then you're probably just gonna be lost in the weeds. I mean, we sit here and talk about studies once a week for 3 years, and we probably had way more truth knowledge spit out than most influencers out there, because they just go with the same loop of the same whatever they're selling, and then stick on that treadmill forever. To just for fun's sake, for devil's advocate wise, his email leak seemed a bit fishy. Like when I first saw it, I was like, why? Who is this email to? Why is it leaked? Why is this like this? It looks a little bit too neat and broken down of like, hey, this is every single thing I've taken for this amount of time. This is how much money I spend. This is everything. And it's like, it seems like one of those really, really easy things to fabricate for somebody to just be like, I'm just going to do this and make it up. Now, funnily enough, when as this past week when it dropped, going on, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, looking at every single comment thread and all of those things, literally not one person was like, "Oh, that's BS. I don't believe it." Everybody was like, "Yeah, yeah,
Right.
duh,"
Yeah.
like kind of thing. Like nobody's defending him. Nobody thinks that it could be misleading. Which I could be like, yeah, it probably is legit, but I just think it's kind of like the email itself was kind of weird. Like, dude, why would you even email somebody all of this stuff that your entire company is like hinged upon to somebody that you might not even trust to do with that information? So that was just kind of weird to me. But yeah, nobody's defended him. That should speak loudly enough in itself.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be honest, even what we're talking about, nothing's been authenticated in like, I don't know if this email would hold up in court, if you will, but as far as I know, I don't know if you caught the end of the video, More Plates, More Dates guy, apparently the Liver King had emailed him directly too. So that's like a little bit more of a nail in the coffin for the fact of, he was just moving in this direction. And I think the reason he's providing so much information is he thought that there was a confidentiality there, which also I think speaks, even though it was like cool that he's been, exposed, like good luck, whoever that coach is, like ever having confidentiality with someone else again. That's
Right.
that's not a cool thing to do, no matter the consequence. But I had a lot of takeaways from this overall, because if you read through everything, you can tell how calculated it all was, right? Like there wasn't, like he created his Instagram account last year, and they had probably been, it seems like they'd been planning for months, if not longer, about how they were basically building this character of the Liver King, and they were going to go push hard in social media. They'd put a lot of resources into it. So Brian Johnson sounds like a very strategic, smart entrepreneur and marketer, to be honest. Like that seems like he's got a lot going for him there. Maybe PR can help him with some damage control. But the sad thing is that he was right, that this is what would work for the industry. And that's, I think that's whatever. He takes steroids. I don't care. It's like, it worked. That saddens me, because that's what it takes. And that's what people know. That's what smart marketers know. That's what it takes to win in the health and fitness industry. So I think that says a lot about people who follow fitness content. And I would say if you're following our stuff and you actually enjoy it, you're probably not in that percentage. So I'm not taking any shots at our current community or audience by any means, but it's just it's a sad place to be. And that's a big reason why I'm not a huge fan of the fitness community most of the time, because everything, does have to be extreme. And Carnivore MD guy is apparently business partners with him as well. I think that should be mentioned. That's it. I'm just going to mention it. I won't say anything else. just so everyone's aware. And then, I think it says a lot about people who run supplement companies, knowing what they have to do. They have to put themselves on the line a lot. And we can't get away from it. Like the fitness industry will never get away from this monkey see, monkey do thing. Like you either have to look amazing or have a ton of people who look amazing who worked with you to succeed in the fitness industry. That's it. There's nothing else. There's no other way to do it. And
Or
so
we're a Navy
that's
SEAL.
Yeah, Navy SEAL works, but Navy SEAL doesn't work it doesn't work to this level. This guy had
It's kind
$100
of a
million
niche. Yeah, it's kind of a
$100
niche.
million company. And so supplements themselves, I think, is the biggest problem I have in general. And we were kind of talking about this before the podcast started. That's the play. And it's the only play that we haven't, as we've developed as a fitness company, it's the only play we haven't pulled out of the grow your fitness brand playbook, which is start a supplement company. And I have talked with all the people who I would need to talk to open a supplement company for Garage Gym Athlete. And just so you know, like whoever your favorite influencer is, and you're buying their protein, just so you know, they didn't do anything special. Like they did not go get a field in Iowa to start growing their own plants and then harvesting it themselves to make this badass organic protein supplement. That's not what's happening. You know, they're not raising the cattle from birth and then milking them. That's not what's happening. All they're doing is partnering with these gigantic supplement companies, because none of these influencers have that kind of cash, by the way. They can't do any of those kind of things. They don't have the resources to be able to do it. So what they can do is work with gigantic supplement companies and just have the same powder cut this direction on the factory floor with your brand on it. Same protein supplement gets cut, moved to the other direction on the factory floor with a different brand on it. But you think because, oh, well, this is so-and-so, I've followed them on Instagram for 7 years, I trust them. They had nothing to do with that powder. They're probably a little bit scared to take it themselves, or they don't care that much about their health. And so that's what I think is really scary about the supplement industry, is how this monkey see, monkey do with everything. And that's just the industry in general. You can't do anything. We can't do anything about it. I'm not even trying to fight against it. I just try to call it out as much as I can, because it's the only thing we won't do. I won't do, because I'm like, me starting a supplement company at this point would be the equivalent of Liver King, like saying he's not on steroids for a year and then getting found out. Like if I open a supplement company next month, please, everyone just stop. Don't ever listen to the podcast again. Unfollow me, shut down, unsubscribe from email. Like something happened. Someone took me over, an alien, something happened. I'm actually probably dead. And Joe just did it. You know, Joe's like, he's like pretending to be me. No, Joe would never open a supplement company either.
I don't know how to, but money's nice.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's just a sad thing, because everyone kind of like gets to this max ceiling, max floor, and then the next play is to open up a supplement company, and there's nothing proprietary or awesome about anybody's supplements. It's all just the same crap, but shoveled in different ways. So whether it's behind the Liver King facade of having big muscles and taking a bunch of steroids so you go buy more, or someone who seems a little bit more wholesome, but you like the person, they got a cool personality, that's great, but still their supplements still suck. Their supplements no better than Liver King supplement. And it's very hard to argue that there's even a good supplement out there, because they're supplements. You could just eat the food as opposed to having a supplement with everything. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Liver King. It's a sad state of affairs for the industry. And what happens from here? Like that's kind of where I wanted to end this Liver King chat, is what's your prediction on what will happen to Liver King? Because this isn't a politician getting canceled that has happened like on repeat over the last 2 years because they said the wrong thing or like whatever on Twitter, because politicians actually have like people who have to vote for them, right? That's not how entrepreneurship works. It's much harder to cancel somebody when it wasn't offensive in entrepreneurship, meaning like he didn't go like do something wildly inappropriate to like a population, or he didn't make like a racist comment, like things that can get an entrepreneur like canceled. He just took steroids and lied about it. I don't think people are going to care that much. I don't think he's canceled. That's I think Liver King, he might stop the social media stuff. We'll see. But I mean, Lance Armstrong's still around, right? Like he's same story, look how awesome I am. I put in all this hard work, be like me. Oh, Lance Armstrong, you're taking more shit than anybody has ever taken. And now like he's still around. He's got a podcast. It does well. He's selling stuff. People still buy it. So what do you guys think? Where do you think the Liver King will be in a year from now?
I mean, it wasn't like he was in the. It was like that was the Fire Festival or whatever, where somebody sold a whole bunch of tickets to this big festival on an island, like rented an island and promised this entire festival, and made millions and millions of dollars, but it was all complete BS, and he went to jail for like 3 years. I think he just got out too, so it's not like one of those scams. Like
I know what you're talking
you
about.
bought,
Yeah,
you
there's like
bought
a
what you.
Netflix documentary on
Yeah,
that, wasn't there?
yeah. I
Yeah.
never watched it. I just kind of heard about it. So it's not like you bought whatever you bought. You got your supplements. Results may vary, and that's like the thing.
And
Results
now
may
you just have to
vary.
admit that you bought them because that dude was on
Yeah,
steroids. If you
yeah.
if you be like, that was it. Yeah, sorry, got me.
And like he can even find loopholes and be like, oh well, maybe earlier I was on them, or I was my body's been like this before, and that's where a lot of people, these influencers, are anyway. Like their body was like this before they did whatever they're selling. So, Ash.
I agree. He's entertainment. That's what it is. People are still gonna watch him. He's still gonna have followers. I mean, he's still probably gonna be shirtless with his wife in a cave girl outfit. I mean, like, whatever. I guess that's how we can sell truth. Should y'all be shirtless and have your wives in a cave? I'm just kidding. It was a joke.
Look, we've
Anyways.
asked Jerred to be shirtless before, but he won't do it.
That's why we're not selling Jerred. It's your fault.
Yeah.
The one thing I did get from his emails that kind of made me want to run like a big supplement company was the fact that he mentioned that he lived in Texas on 500 acres,
Oh, that's right.
and then his compound was 15 acres. And I was like, okay, check. That's how you do that. If I want a 500-acre farm in Houston, just need to open a supplement company and take a bunch of steroids. Maybe die early. Might die by like 49, but
Yeah.
totally worth that ranch.
I've been asking for a GGA ranch for like the last year or so.
Yeah, we'll see. See where we get to.
Go back to influencers. I keep thinking about this other guy that I've seen. I don't know who he is, and it's not really saying anything against him, but just another one of those influencers that it used to pop up in ads all the time on Instagram and Facebook, and he would be shirtless and like obviously he has great body. He's like shirtless and he's eating pizza, and he's just like, if you want to lose a bunch of weight and get shredded and not give rid of your, and not stop eating your favorite foods, I can help you out. And click the link, whatever kind of ordeal. And it's like, dude, you could have just literally not even eating that pizza. I don't know if you're just selling caloric deficit or something, but you've not just happened on this body that for whatever your secret is. You probably had it for a long time. And those are just examples that you see all the time. And I think they're always going to be around. And with Liver King, if anything, like he can just sell his own stuff, but with the way social media and like how ads and stuff work, people will watch his stuff just to either come on and talk shit, and that's just more traffic. Like he's still going to get a bunch more traffic because people are still googling his name and looking it up. I even, just before we did this, I looked at what his current, like if he put anything out yet on his like Instagram stories, and he's just still peddling the same tenants and liver stuff that he was before. So nothing's changed so far, and it's been out for probably a week or something now. So yeah.
I mean, maybe he retreats from social media. He had I think he had $100 million company before social media, and he'll probably have one after. So just
yeah. It's kind of hard though to take like all those people seriously, because I mean, too, like if you're looking at it, all these people are sponsored by all these things, right? And so it's like you're pushing this stuff. Like even people that I respect and think they're great and I like their message, it's hard to sometimes to look at it and be like, you need this air doctor, you need this red light therapy, you need that. Like it's like, yeah, but you're getting all this money from this. So like, is this, I don't know, just take a step back, I think, for everybody. And if you're,
I'm actually fine with that stuff if they do straight up tell you. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, like I am getting,
yeah, it's like, hey, if you buy this, I'm gonna get like $30, but use my link. Like I've been on like email lists and stuff like where they do that, and I'm like, I respect that. Like if I was gonna buy this anyway, why not use your link? Because it costs me nothing different. But when there's when there is lack of transparency, and you're like, yeah, I do this every day, it's amazing, but you never do it. You're just doing it because they had the best affiliate fee that you could imagine.
I
That's
take
sad.
athletic greens because athletic greens cures all, or I take this.
Hey, I take
low-
athletic greens.
No, they're
all right?
it's good.
I thought about that.
I'm just saying.
Because there's a few YouTubers I follow. They're like the travel YouTubers that I follow for a lot. A lot of them have like athletic greens. I'm like, you're not traveling and having athletic greens every day. Although athletic greens is great, you're not doing it. I know you're not.
hmm Or like the woman that's actually getting Botox, but she's just drinking collagen because that's how
Oh.
she looks the way she looks. It's like, no.
Oh my God.
I don't know. That's how I
wonder
feel
where all
about
this,
Liver
like,
King.
this great social media experiment that's been happening for like 15 years or so. Wonder where it will all end up,
Oh, scary. I don't want to think about it.
Hopefully somewhere good. Hopefully somewhere positive.
Mhm.
But we'll end on that. Or end that there. We'll go to the workout. But yeah, just Liver King. Liver King is exposed. We'll see what happens.
Follow
We'll
people
revisit in a
who
year.
who put science forward. There's a lot of people now that their accounts are fairly underrated, but if you're literally just talking about a study, I'm not even just talking about us. There's several other accounts we were talking about a few before that they literally just talk about studies, and then that's what they do. You take the information and you use it. It's not, hey, look at me. It's, hey, look at this study.
I wonder if you could no, I won't go down that path. We'll move to the Meet Yourself Saturday, which is abdominal
Yay.
snowman.
Oh, look at you.
Planned it. Didn't
Not even
just
showing your
happen to
abs.
accidentally
Not even-
wear that shirt today. If you're listening only, I'm wearing the abdominal snowman shirt. I think it's one of the only shirts that I know. I guess 2 Meet Yourself Saturdays have a shirt now. The Geo Metro
Mhm.
and this one. So
Yeah.
Ashley, take it away. How do we knock out the abdominal snowman?
You are to accumulate 30 minutes in the front leaning rest in the least amount of time as possible. Kicker is each time you leave that position, you stop your timer, and then you continue until you have accumulated it. So you've got an hour to do this, but you have to accumulate 30 minutes. Does that make sense?
Is there any benefit to stopping?
Uh,
are there penalties?
Okay, yeah.
AKA
no,
not penalties?
there are no penalties. It's like you're trying to accumulate the 30 minutes. There's no penalties.
Surprising. Okay.
It's hard. Have you
Yeah.
done this one?
No, I have, yeah. Thoughts?
Even 1 minute on
Tips?
and 1 minute off, like as a gaming it, whatever, pacing it would get really hard after like 10 minutes or so. So 20 minutes. So I don't even know. It's just one of those grind, hold it as long as you can kind of thing. Still rest, but don't go completely to failure because it's going to be hard to bounce back. Kind of
Yeah,
like
that's what I was
I
gonna
feel
say.
like ab fatigue is similar to forearm fatigue. Once you cross that line, it's really hard to get back there. So you see some sort of strategy like to make sure you don't burn out, but at the same time, you're not really going to injure yourself doing front leaning rests. So you can still push yourself pretty hard, especially toward the end when you get to the last I don't know, 5-10 minutes or so.
I was gonna say too, like hold yourself to the standard of like once you start losing form too. Like that's the only way you could potentially injure yourself is like if you're
saggy naggy.
saggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hips to the floor. Yeah, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
I would stair step it. So not doing you can try the even thing, but I don't think it's gonna work very well. Like trying to do even or even half work to rest ratios.
Oh.
So I would try and go big at first, but not too far. And that would be my tip across the whole thing. Not too far. Don't take it not too long. But if you kind of know what, I can do a 3-minute front leaning rest pretty easy, then be like, okay, well then do 2 and then take the shortest rest possible and then keep going down that path. Or if you're like, hey, I know I can do 10, then do 7 or 8, just don't take anything to what you think your max is. And then, rest close to 1-to-1. If you are doing those bigger ones, obviously you wouldn't be able to do that to hit the hour. So slightly less. whatever, 75%. That's how I would tackle it if I needed to do it.
You could watch
quickly.
the Liver King thing on YouTube while you do it. Watch something.
It's an hour long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but maybe you can do
It's
it.
definitely
sooner.
one that you need to take your mind off of it.
Yeah.
The easiest way to do this is just to hold it for 30 minutes.
The fastest.
Have you seen the world record planks or whatever?
No.
I haven't watched it, but
I've seen like I haven't watched them either because they're like 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever. They're crazy.
They got to be
These people-
short.
You should watch them. There's a woman who did it and there's a guy who did it. And I mean, when they finish, they put their arms on pads or whatever, because that's obviously going to hurt for a long time. But when they finish, they look like they're just broken human beings. They like lay down. They're like, oh. They might even be taken to the emergency room. I don't know, but it's pretty impressive what these people can do. So if they can do it for 6 hours, I mean, shouldn't we be able to do it for 30 minutes?
Okay, Jerred, man.
I don't know.
No?
I don't know. No, that math doesn't work. You're right. It's not. I'm not 1/8 the best in the world, so no. Or that was wrong math.
Too tall. I train my glutes too much.
Yeah. You can't have excuses on why you're not good at it. No excuses for why.
Heavy in the
Here's
trunk.
why I'm bad at a plank and I'll never be good at it. No, not allowed. All right, go try that workout, everyone. So tips for today. 1, either don't buy BCAAs. Here's the takeaways. I'm going to recap. Either don't buy BCAAs, or if you'd like an exercise and wasting money, buy a bunch of BCAAs and either consume them or throw them in the trash. Basically the same thing. So that's step 1 takeaway. Step 2, if you're following Liver King, go unfollow him unless you just kind of want to see where the story goes, and then keep following him. If you have bought any of his supplements, I can't vouch for them or not. So I'm not. I mean, if you followed him because you thought he looked awesome and was taking the supplements, we know that's not true anymore. But I don't know if the supplements are good or bad. So I'm not going to talk crap about the supplements, but just reassess your decision there. Just reassess. And then 3rd, do a really, 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 really long plank, hopefully all in one go. But that's it for all of the people a part of the community. Thank you so much for being a part of the community. If you want to become a part of our community, go to garagegymathlete.com, sign up for a 14-day free trial. And remember, if you don't kill comfort, comfort will kill you. Athlete Podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.